we're going to move on here because I got a lot of information from the listeners because I actually had the chance to try to baffle and befuddle my way through a bunch of emails and catch up on some of those. Not all, so don't everybody get your hopes up. But we got to hear from some of the listeners because I've been backed up over the last, I've been backed up over the last few weeks, constipated even on these emails. I've mentioned this to you, Brian.
You have, yes.
Well, now we're going to let it all out in one big squirt with Reggie's Corner leading the way. And again, no, real briefly, all of these folks have written heartfelt emails, and I'd like to read them, but then everybody would feel like they just watched 2 hours of AEW. The depression would sink in. So I want to recognize our listeners and their furry friends, but I'm not going to go into too much heart-wrenching detail. But I do want to, Daryl from Newcastle, Oklahoma. I didn't know there was a Newcastle in Oklahoma, but he lost his 13-year-old Boston Terrier, Guy, who was his best friend, and apparently maybe he was pulled from his mother too young, so he had attached a Guy as his mother and followed him everywhere. And after 13 years of that, I mean, he's broken up. So Daryl, sorry for your loss there. And as well, Grant and Larissa from Brisbane, Australia. How you like that pronunciation? Doesn't sound like I'm from Kentucky at all. They've lost Oliver, their dog, 13 and a half years old. He was a Ridgeback and Bull Mastiff. And he loved to destroy squeaky toys and loved ball pits. I'm not sure what a ball pit is, but apparently they have them over in Brisbane.
You don't know what a ball pit is?
What is a ball pit?
It's a pit, and they have like those soft...
Oh, come on, with a ball in it.
Well, no, not a ball.
Wait, what's it about? It's about a guy named Carlito and the way he does things. What the fuck?
Well, not a ball. At least dozens of balls, but they're like the soft balls, so you could jump in the pit and just sink into the balls and pop up and throw the balls at your friends, and it's lots of fun.
I used to get whipped when I threw balls at friends.
Who whipped you?
Mama Cornette said, quit flinging those goddamn rocks and baseballs and shit at your friends.
She whipped you?
With a switch.
Wow. For throwing rocks at your friends?
Sometimes you get mad.
Where was this happening? In front of your house?
Various places. Sometimes it might have, if somebody said something when I was a feisty little kid to me at school, I might fling something at them.
And you had a good arm? Accurate?
Well, one time I fucking was trying to miss a guy just to scare him, but I hit him. So it's probably not a good arm then, because I didn't hit what I was going for, which was to miss him, but I beamed him right in the noggin.
You hit him with a rock?
Yeah, a pretty big one too. But anyway, so we're moving on. We talked about Grant in Brisbane. Well, he shouldn't have said those things to me. I was minding my own business. All right, Jason from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. And I only can pronounce that because I've been there. It's next to Toronto, and it's actually a nice, clean suburb of Toronto. But anyway, Jason lost, and this is terrible, his puppy, Baron Sam von Spam, was 2 years old, but had a heart condition. And they found out about it obviously too late. So, little Baron Sam von Spam, we hate to hear about that. And Jason, and also we have listeners in Chile, Brian. Pablo from Chile lost his dog, Pippa. Her full name was Philippa Aurora. And a friend of his brother gave Pippa to them because he couldn't have her anymore. And they've had her for almost 10 years now. Every time I screamed, gato, 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 which he, in parentheses, notes means cat, cat, cat. At little Pippa, she ran trying to chase down the cat that, of course, as Pablo says in Bulldog's voice, wasn't even there. And that was, but again, a heart condition. So we're sorry to hear about Pippa. And there also, most of these people have included included or enclosed pictures, and these little babies are so cute. And also, real quickly, Darren from County Antrim in Northern Ireland, writing to tell you about our dog Ollie. Ollie passed away after a short illness on May 18th, just 2 days short of his 10th birthday. He was a schnauzer, and his wife, April, well, not Ollie's wife, April, but Darren's wife, April. I'm not sure if Ollie was married, but April and Darren both loved him, and he lay at Darren's feet while he was listening to our podcast, Brian. So he was a cult member in heart.
So it's your fault.
Oh, come on. Just the sound of my voice can't do damage to anybody, or elsewise I would have been calling shit stain on the phone twice a day for the last 10 years. And finally, from Dan. And where is Dan from? Did Dan say where Dan's from? Dan is from Uckfield, East Sussex in England. So, God damn it, there's got to be something we can do with Uckfield, East Sussex. There's sex in that. There's fuck in that if you rearrange the letters. We'll get back to you on it. But Dan from Uckfield. Hi, Jim and Brian. I would like to make a request to have my story on Reggie's Corner for my 12-year-old tortoise Speedy, who failed to come out of hibernation this year. That's a sad thing.
What do you think about naming tortoises Speedy?
Well, now, hold on here.
Unless you got like the Bye Bye Birdie thing where they're drinking a concoction and then they go real fast.
Well, there's more to come here on the meaning of this name. We gave her a lovely burial in her favorite plot of the garden under her house. My 5-year-old daughter cried the whole day as she loved Speedy to bits. For animals with reputations for being slow, Speedy was far from it, regularly being seen doing laps of our garden. I don't know how big Dan's garden is or how much time he has to watch that tortoise make laps around that garden, but he's done it. Anyway, here's the point of this thing is, now, not as all going as you would imagine it would, Brian. There's a twist to come in this. They've just given the tortoise the burial. Didn't come out of hibernation, right? 3 days later, we receive a message from my neighbor asking if our other tortoise had escaped as her son had found one by their back gate. She then sent a picture, and to our surprise, the tortoise they'd found was Speedy. There was absolutely no doubt that when we buried her, she had definitely died. Look at her, Polly, well, she's dead.
Glad there was no doubt when they buried her that she was dead. That's a good first start.
Yes, so my first thought was, as anyone would think, zombie tortoise. We checked her burial plot and nothing had been disturbed. So we went next door and sure enough, it was Speedy. And sadly, she was still clearly dead. It was only...
What is this story?
Clearly dead. I'm telling you, the bird is dead. It's clearly Polly is dead.
So they exhumed Speedy to confirm?
No, they checked the burial plot and nothing had been disturbed. But yet there's Speedy, still inexplicably dead. It was only when we popped to the carport of our neighbor. See, I've got to do, when you read something like that, I got to do the accent. When we popped to the carport of our neighbor on the other side, the things started to make sense. There was evidence that a fox had been digging in their carport, which sits about 3 feet lower than our garden, and had dug her out from the side. We have since reburied her in an area that foxes won't be able to get at.
What the fuck?
It almost felt fitting that even in death, Speedy couldn't be kept in one place.
All you needed was a kangaroo. This is such an Australian story.
No, this is not Australian. I mean, pay attention. This is Uckfield.
Oh, in England, that's right.
Uckfield, East Sussex.
What I meant was fuck Australia. No, I can't.
Well, but now, see, that would make you want to move out of your house if the fucking shit you buried was popping back up, but wasn't even coming out the top of the grave. How, that's a So we do indeed give all kinds of condolences or grievances or whatever.
Why isn't fox-driven tortoise theft a bigger story? Why aren't we talking about this?
Well, you know, you don't know whether you can't trust. That's why they call them sly as a fox, because you can't trust the foxes. And we know from my experiences here at the castle, you can't trust the raccoons.
Sly as a fox or sly as a mox?
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got bags under his eyes like a raccoon. Anyway, speaking of bags, what a perfect transition to our pal Jeremy Bagley.
That's not a good transition at all.
Well, he's got bag in the name.
Is that the end of Reggie's Corner?
Yes.
All right.
We're still doing emails from the viewers and the listeners, but the animal husbandry portion has ceased. Is that important to you?
I don't believe there were any wedding announcements in this week's Reggie's Corner, but I'm just noting the official end of Reggie's Corner.
All right. Well, we still haven't determined whether or not Ollie was married, whether he leaves a widow behind. So I'll check back with you on that if you're keeping notes.